Well, that happened. Welcome back. Oh, I'm going to need a drink of water to talk about this one. Welcome back. It's time for the 31 Days of Halloween. We are talking about a different horror movie every day for the month of October. And we are wrapping up the month with two from Ari Aster. His 2018 Hereditary, his directorial debut, and his other A24 film, Midsummer, which we will focus on tomorrow. It's a little info about. Yeah, huh? Isn't that freaky? Yeah, that's the menu. Let's see if we could add if there's there's a trailer. Ooh, selected deleted scenes. And it's Cursed, the true nature of Hereditary. And Evil in Miniatures. Oh, we'll look at that next too. But let's look at the trailers first. And hopefully it's the trailer for this movie. And not a trailer for other movies. This movie was okay. Oh, is it? This is a trailer for another movie. This is not the movie I just watched. Go back. Trailers. Okay, yeah. So we'll look at Evil in Miniature here. Ah. Okay, so. Wow. Welcome to the show. What an underwhelming. I used the DVD version because it's, I don't know, they're just easier to just start up. Blu-rays go searching for your nearest Wi-Fi and report back to the mothership. It's kind of scary. I wonder if it's got different special features. That would be interesting. So yeah, Hereditary, I watched it. That happened earlier this year. It was suggested to me by one of my best friends that I've known for a very long time, closer to 30 years than not. It suggested Midsummer by Ari Aster, the 2019 A24 film. It was I've seen the memes. I knew that my friend, the Critical Drinker, had made a really bad review of it. And I am such a huge, huge fan of the 1974 original The Wicker Man that I heard it was just a feminist remake. And Peter went to bat for this movie, Midsummer. And just said, no, experience it for yourself, make up your own mind. I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I saw that. And I'm glad I saw Midsummer before I saw Hereditary. I really didn't like this movie that much. It was beautiful. It's a pretty mess. It really is. It had a lot of potential. I thought there was going to be more to these miniatures. That's part of one of the themes of the movie, are the miniatures that our protagonist, or who we think is our protagonist. Yeah, exactly. But Toni Collette's Annie, that's what she does professionally. She's a gifted artisan. She makes miniatures. She makes scale replicas of of real life things. They're just at scale. They're just smaller. And it's got a great cast: Toni Collette, Gabrielle Byrne, some new actors, and Ari Aster was an up and coming director at the time, and this was his first big movie as well. And I heard plenty of good things about it, and they're well deserved too. It's just taste wise. I mean, nah. So yeah, so that's like a miniature of the house that they live in. It's like a diorama, or just like you ever go to an art museum and just see these perfect scale replicas of a historical time and space. Yeah. So yeah, I thought there was going to be some more to that, like such as like you can have a haunted house, but can you have a haunted toy house in a way, or are they in the toy house and what is really going on here? And but all these the miniatures, they set up very well, kind of next to the actual set. The house itself is a character in the movie. A lot happens in the family home. Gabriel Byrne plays the father, Stephen, and there's Peter, who's the high school student son, the older teenager, and Charlie, the 13-year-old girl, who's a little bit special. Maybe, I mean, they didn't disclose anything on, and then it starts with the death of Annie's mother, who had been living with them in this family home, and the mother has it was very secretive. This is like set up in Act 1 at the funeral, and Toni Collette's character eulogizing her mom, saying she was a very secretive person, and she had secret rituals and things, and that's gonna come through, right at the end of the movie too. That's a good plumb line, because it's revelations that come going through the old photo albums, things hiding in plain sight. And but yeah, what do we do here in the show? We read from wikis. That's right. I'm going to read this from the wiki. Hereditary is a 2018 American psychological supernatural horror film written and directed by Ari Aster in his feature directorial debut. The film follows a grieving family tormented by a demonic entity after the death of their secretive grandmother. Released at Sundance, the Sundance Film Festival, on January 21st, 2018, and domestically in the United States on June 8th, 2018. It had a runtime of 127 minutes. Its budget was $10 million, and its box office was $82.8 million. I remember when this movie came out, everyone was talking about this movie. There was a big to do. Like, have you seen Hereditary yet? No, I hadn't. No, literally, I've waited 5 years. And waited 4 years to see Midsommar as well. But it made $82 million on a $10 million budget, becoming A24's highest grossing film ever at the time. A record that was held until the release of Everything Everywhere All at Once, the Oscar baby of 2022. And miniature artist Annie Graham lives with her psychiatrist husband. I didn't even figure that out. All I saw was like, it's Gabriel Byrne! Woo! I love Gabriel Byrne. Their 16-year-old son Peter and their 13-year-old Charlie, and they attend the family attends the funeral of Annie's secretive mother Ellen, at which Annie is surprised at the number of mourners in attendance. That comes full circle. I'm just going to go right to the spoilers and shit, but there's a plot point that happens right in the beginning too. It's just it's not even been a week, and someone desecrates Ellen's grave, steals the body, and this is just some weird. It's like a Chekhov's gun. It's like Chekhov's tombstone. It's like it's brought up in Act 1, And it really comes full circle by the end of the movie. But it's literally like for even it's just like it's mentioned once and then it's mentioned near the end. Yeah. Well, it's because the mother was secretly the head witch of a coven of Satanists. Yeah, this is we'll go right to the end. Yeah, because this movie, like with the miniatures here juxtaposed to the weirdness, the oddness of the house, it totally is supposed to give you Shining vibes. Because remember, The Shining, you had the full scale, you had the scale replica of the maze, and if like you could look down, it was kind of like Johnny was like Jack Torrance was like he was God and he can see his creation in his fields kind of thing. And also the weirdness of the house. I thought the house was haunted. I thought the house had some kind of shining, warped thing to it, like the hallways, were weird. Like, why is there a stair here, like rising up to a room? It's like very dreamlike. I thought it was a haunted house. I was wrong. It's not a haunted house really per se. But also then there are a couple of other themes in here. I feel like it mashes up the 1973's The Exorcist and also 1968. When was Rosemary's Baby come out? Why haven't we covered Rosemary's Baby? 1968, yeah. It's one of the first. I think it's one of the first films of the Hays Code. Maybe not, but Rosemary's Baby. It was about a coven of Satanists that were, just bringing the Antichrist into the world through Rosemary's Baby. So we have like elements of Rosemary's Baby in this. We have elements, and I really see a lot of elements, especially in the first act of The Exorcist. Once again, because in The Exorcist, The Exorcist. Come on, where's the? Wow, The Exorcist was made for $12 million and had a budget. It had a budget of $12 million and had a box office of $441 million. That's his box office. Actress Chris McNeil. Yeah, so it's between Chris and her daughter Regan, who's 12 years old. And a lot of it has to do with the mother's turmoil of, having this, child that is kind of possessed. And I really I couldn't keep the story straight in Hereditary. Was the child possessed? Was the spirit of this hell king living in Charlie, the girl? And that's why she was kind of special. And that in order, there needed to be a hereditary, like a gene thing, like a family thing, like for the spirit had to, like, migrated from the grandmother to the granddaughter to the mother to the son. Is that how it goes? Has anyone out there seen Hereditary? Can you tell me what I'm talking about? Can I get one of these whiteboard demonstrations of like, what the hell just happened? So yeah, but by the end of the movie, where it's so there are legitimate supernatural things going on. There's magic involved, I guess, and spirits that can move things. Because some of it happens in very dreamy places too. Like Toni Collette's main character, she's a sleepwalker, and she definitely has dream sequences. It gets a little dreamy, so there is a maybe just a hint of maybe that a Nightmare on Elm Street is to it as well. So I'm seeing all of these like different horror movies in this, like such as this. This was in the middle. This was in the living room of the house, and all I get are these Nightmare on Elm Street vibes when we have the same kind of like dollhouse of the Elm Street house in the movies itself. I don't know, just it seems like it's like Hereditary has a lot of different inspirations, and it's not a bad movie. It's beautifully shot. Some of the jump, there was a legit jump scare. I'll tell you that much. It got me. Favorite death scene? Yeah. I mean, it's a hard one because it's the family members, and we have a shocking death scene like in the opening. Like I think it's Act 1. It has to be because like Charlie, the 13-year-old girl, gets decapitated in a horrible automobile accident when they were already having suffering from a nut reaction. It was just this weird tension scene, but then it all just comes to a head, no pun, in a really graphic but quick cut, but of a 13-year-old girl getting her head, unfortunately having her head. She was sticking her head out of the car window to get fresh air. She couldn't breathe, and the swerve into the brother was driving and had to swerve to avoid something on the road, and there was a telephone pole, a wooden telephone pole, and it took Charlie's head clean off. And then you had it was just like this weird tension and this drama tension too. So this poor kid Peter is like heavily traumatized. He just inadvertently killed his kid sister, and he just drove home with her headless body in the back seat and went to bed because he didn't know what to do. And it wakes the next morning with the mother going into the car to go do her things and finding this horrible, horrible scene off camera. All you hear is Toni Collette screaming, and the whole you have this long shot of Peter in his bed, and his eye is just like he's opening up, and he's his eyes are open and he's awake, and he's realizing like, oh my God, this really happened, kind of thing. And it was an interesting scene in tension and building tension, because how is this going to resolve? What's going to happen? And that throws in another layer of tension in the family, is now the son has accidentally killed the sister. The mother is beside herself with grief, and the father is trying to be helpful. But then comes in Act 2, we meet another one of our main characters in Act 2. It's Joan, and Joan met Annie at a grief support group, and they bonded over their grief and their loss. And it turns out that Annie, because you have to it's kind of like, again, you have to pay attention to, it's kind of like M. Night Shyamalan-y too. It's like hiding shit in plain sight. And you have this pendant and this symbol, and it's kind of consistent in different places, and you pick up on it. You're supposed to, because it's there for you. You know what I mean? To put shit together. It gets you really active and keeps your mind in the story, trying to figure things out. And Joan ended up being lies, kind of lies to Annie and gives her magic words in order to summon a spirit. You know, and saying that it could seance with the dead, and she could talk to her, her daughter, and it kind of like soften it kind of like opens the home up to this supernatural stuff, and that's where it becomes something like Rosemary's Baby, where you have this active coven of Satanists wanting to have the rebirth of some kind of hell, one of the kings of hell, or the Antichrist himself. And yeah, I mean, it's a pretty mess. It really is. There's a lot of attention to detail in Ari Aster movies. You have to really keep your eyes on the art. I feel and I felt that was really evident in Midsummer, and we're going to talk more about Midsummer tomorrow, Tom. And we're gonna land this plane with a really great movie. Yeah, just like I thought these little miniatures just were supposed to play into the movie a bit more. They ended up being a MacGuffin, but also just this uncanny oddness about miniatures, but also then this beautiful home that ends up turning creepy over the course of the movie. And it's like the mood and it's the lighting. And but Ari Aster is only 37 years old. Yeah, he's best known for his feature-length films produced by A24, namely Hereditary, Midsummer, and Beau is Afraid. People keep telling me to skip Beau is Afraid. I mean, but I really liked Midsummer, but I did not like Hereditary as much. Yeah, I mean, like Annie made a hospice miniature of her mom's hospice room, and then she made a miniature of the road with her daughter's head on the road, and yeah, she was coping. It was a weird movie, and yeah, definitely, it's definitely inspired by The Exorcist, by Rosemary's Baby, and by The Shining, and a little bit of like that M. Night Shyamalan kind of things are like right in the open, and dreaminess too. So we got a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street on the bouquet or the palette there, I believe. I wonder if it explains the movie here. We're gonna look at the wiki, see if it explains it. Yeah, because there's a part where Peter there's a little flicker of light that goes into his body, kind of like that episode of Star Trek 66, and then he does the thing of his kid sister used to click her tongue all the time. I used to do that all the time when I was a kid too. Click your tongue, and when he gets up after the little light goes into his body, he clucks his tongue like that. And apparently, Peter is supposed to be King Paimon, who is one of the, he's one of the demons and the king of hell, and that is the most obedient to Lucifer. Yikes. But yeah, it's just one of these. It ends up being just another bringing birth of the Antichrist kind of thing. Just yeah, or demonic possession thing, and Yeah, just no, the wiki really doesn't explain a damn thing. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, apparently the demon, the thingy was in the sister, and then they have corrected the female body by getting rid of that vessel and giving him the preferred male host, and the Coven hail Peter as King Paimon. Yeah, I mean, so it ended pretty flatly. I don't know. At least, well, tomorrow we're going to talk about the ending of that as well. Very interesting ending. A lot of people don't like Midsummer. A lot of people don't like Midsummer because of its ending. But there's a Mona Lisa smile that Florence Pugh has, and it's got kind of almost the same kind of ending in these two movies. Seriously, so spoilers. No, I mean Midsummer's its own beast, man. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie with a longer running time too. I mean, this thing had a 2 hour running time, 2 hour and 7 minutes. Um, yeah, 2 hours 7 minutes. But my favorite part of the movie was the fade to black to the end credits, because the song that they used for the end credits was "Both Sides Now" um, by Joni Mitchell, and it's the old studio version of it too. It's her original studio version, and Both Sides Now is just, it gets to be a more charming song the older you get, and you can see, I can see the clouds from both sides now. I can see life through both sides now. Just it's a wonderful, wonderful tune. But I found it very funny and clever, and for this movie, because you had Peter, who was a, a mama's boy, a sniveling simp, um, just he was a 16 stoner, and I'm saying that's a bad thing. I mean, but he was kind of just like a bit of a loser, and a kind of a bit like a beta, a soy. I mean, like, I don't know, just like, is that a commentary on like kids these days or something? I don't know. And also to be fair too, like, so the sister goes first, and then it's the father who ends up in flames when they try to burn the book, and then it's Annie's turn, and she's I think decapitates herself demonically, or I think that's what happened. Oh, and then comes the sole survivor of the family, Peter. We have a kind of a different spin on that right at the beginning of Midsummer tomorrow. So it's more of like, we're going to question this. Like, does Ari Aster hate the typical family unit? Maybe, because he's pretty cruel to them. And yeah, we're gonna see, like, we're gonna pick up on that tomorrow. But thank you so very much for tuning in. Um, we have been doing this all month long. The month's almost over, and it's just really interesting. And I love talking about film. I love talking about horror film. And I took a suggestion, and I got this sight unseen after liking Midsummer so darn much. And we'll do Midsummer tomorrow. But yeah, Hereditary was a miss for me. Yeah, I get it. It might have been the Rosemary's Baby for the 21st century. I mean, for our now, I can see that, and it's just, yeah, I'm glad that he worked some of this stuff out and gave us a much better movie, in my humble opinion, at his next going. Seriously. Thank you so very much. Like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here, 3 o'clock p.m. We talk about comic books. We also talk about spirituality and cooking. And yeah, and thanks for joining us this month of October 2023. 2023. Yes. We've started off with Friday the 13th movies, all of them, all of the Elm Street movies, and it's been quite a ride. And thank you so very much. And please save me a seat next to you in that dark movie theater.